Hello, everybody. Hi, hi, hi. I hope everybody can hear me. Good morning and welcome to our webinar today. I hope you're having a lovely day. I want to first of all thank everybody for taking our time, to join this webinar today. We know time is money, time is precious. So we're very appreciative that you are here with us to listen to what we have to say. I must say that we have a very impactful and useful session today, and I think that at the end you'd be glad you spent this time with us. My name is Oke Egbi. I'm the Director of Embedded Finance here at Seamless HR. And later on in the session, I'll talk more about, embedded finance and how it ties to our topic for today. But today we'll be talking about harnessing the cost of living adjustment for talent retention success. How do you harness COLA, to keep your best talent, your best employees contributing and working hard to drive the business goals and the company goals. The first time I heard cost of living adjustments or COLA, like my mind immediately went to Coca-Cola because it's refreshing, and my mind also went to the traditional cola, like the cola nuts, which is refreshing in the traditional sense as well. So, I mean, I look forward to this session as much as I know that you are. And to tackle this topic very, very exhaustively, we have an amazing speaker who is going to talk to us today, Otame Frederick Elegon. He's the one who's going to do justice to this topic, cost of living adjustments, when it comes to talent retention. And I'm going to tell you about him because I want you to be as excited about him as I already am. Frederick is like a seasoned professional, like he's well known and renowned for his leadership and strategic acumen across multiple sectors. Currently, he's the country manager for Great Place to Work in Nigeria, like just Great Place to Work. It tells you all you need to know. And, it tells you that you're going to get a lot of wonderful snippets from this session. But aside from being the country manager in Nigeria, he also oversees operations in Kenya and Cote d'Ivoire. And he orchestrates sales, marketing, business strategy, basically the core things needed to drive growth and foster a positive workplace culture. Now, before he joined, before his current role with Great Place to Work, Frederick was the Group Chief Strategy Officer at Prime Waterview Holdings Limited. That's a real estate conglomerate in Nigeria, where he spearheaded the formulation and the execution of high impact strategies that contributed to the market position of the company and the operational excellence that they enjoyed while he was there and even after he's left. So he's multifaceted. He's an expert in financial management, business analysis, marketing, across multiple sectors. He was also head of business development and strategy at Global Alpha Consultants Limited and head analyst at New Africa Business Development and Investment Company. So, I mean, Frederick has experience everywhere. Like he has his finger, when they say jack of all trades and master of all, that's Frederick. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry from Uniben, which I also hold a BSc in Biochemistry. So we share that as well. We share that as well. And he has an MBA from Ambrose Ali University in Nigeria, which was my university too as well. So we have a lot in common. And I think it's just fate that we're together on this webinar and we're talking about the same topic. And beyond his professional endeavors, Frederick is a distinguished presenter and facilitator. You will enjoy his session, I promise you. And his seminars usually focus on strategy, organizational culture, business development, and leadership. And he's not only a trailblazer when it comes to career, he's also a trailblazer when it comes to the home. He's a devoted family man, a loving husband, and a proud father of two. I'm very excited to be on this session with you, and I look forward to what you're sharing. So without further ado, I am now going to hand over to Frederick to talk to us about, COLA and how we can leverage it for talent retention. Frederick, over to you.
Excellent. Okay. I hope biochemistry or well, HR is not the new biochemistry. It's whereby both of us read biochemistry and in the HR business at this time. It's a pleasure to be here this morning, having great people listen to us around this session. Also, be pleasure to be here with Seamless HR. There are some slides I would show at the end of my session where I talked about collaboration across the globe. The globe is crying out for collaboration. There's so much out there. The opportunities, the market space is so huge that the best way forward is collaboration among companies. Today, we will talk about provide insights around COLA. But first of all, we have an opinion poll that we want everybody to be part of. So kindly please provide your insights around this poll so that we get some perspectives around COLA, people's understanding of COLA. Feel free to provide the responses. It's not going to be held against you. We just want to be able to get some feedback around understanding of COLA in this market terrain that we exist in. Excellent. Okay. So about 50% say they are very familiar with COLA. Why 50% says they are very familiar with COLA, not up to 50% says their organization practices COLA. Interesting. Let me go on to share my slide. Are we seeing the other part of that, or I should just go ahead?
You may go ahead.
So, can you see my slide?
Yes, we can.
So today we'll basically be talking about harnessing the cost of living adjustments for talent acquisition success. Just a minute. Just a minute, I have challenges with moving my slide down to the next. Excellent. My apologies. I had challenges with the slides moving. But I'm going to start with some opening notes. Years ago, as a young man out of school, I just moved to Lagos recently, and I encountered a brilliant senior leader in banking space. He was a senior manager at that time. And we got talking around the economy in Nigeria, and he said to me, Frederick, I sat my wife down and we had a conversation around the economy of this country. And what we agreed was that both of us cannot be workers at the same time in this economy. I would either be that I resign my role as an employee, or you resign your role as an employee so that you go into business. And according to him, his idea was that in this economy like of Nigeria, like we belong to, there's a need for pushbacks. Now, when the economy pushes forward or pushes items to you around prices, high prices, it's important that from a family perspective, we're able to counter that perspective, that push. And so if both of us are workers in an organization, salaries might not probably be increased. And so we are left basically to the hands of the economy. But if we're in business, or if somebody's in business, maybe if the economy pushed back to us, we can probably increase our prices. So if, for instance, I'm in the food business, I'm able to push back my prices so that eventually there's some level of stability around the family. That was his own perspective. I know a number of people chose that perspective. I didn't choose that perspective, but I know a lot of people have chosen that perspective around pushbacks for the organization, for their company. The last 12 months, I want to provide a case study of some things we know, some things we've seen, some things we've heard over the last 12 months. Sorry, I'm having challenges with moving my cursor, my slides.
Sorry about that, Frederick. I think while you're trying to sort that out, I was just a bit, I remember being a bit surprised when I looked at the results of the poll. And, like cola is not a new concept. But then when you look at the implementation of it, there's not a lot of companies who are actually implementing it, which is interesting. I'm hoping that, like we get to like actually talk about that and dive into it, the barriers to implementation, and, potentially working out an easier way, or coming out with a easier solution that can help our attendees go back and do something great in their places of work.
Let me try once again. Sorry about that. What if I'm able to show the full screen? If not, I will just have it
on the
levels of yes. So what you see, sorry about that, I know about this challenge around the slides, but what you would see are different in the last 12 months, how the money market has basically been very, very volatile the past 12 months. We also see on the right-hand side, the slide that shows the currency exchange between the Naira and the dollar. A number of times we hear conversations around the fact that the Naira has appreciated higher above the dollar. The dollar has appreciated above the Naira. But what actually happened over these last 12 months is that the Naira actually has depreciated below the dollar. So when you have that perspective, you look at it in a different format to say, it's not like as if so much has been done around the Naira. It's more about the fact that around the dollar. It's more about the fact that the Naira has dropped a lot in its value. When you see the Nigerian inflation rate over a 10-year period, you see also those levels of inflation, those rates that have changed over that period. On the right-hand side, you would see that inflationary rate from May 2023 to April 2024 in Nigeria. You would also see the consumer price index that shows that it's not been stable over that 12-month period, especially the last 12 months in Nigeria. And so I did an analysis to say, assuming, but if you look at this graph, you would see that, just to push it down a little bit, you'll see that in May 2021, the inflation rate stood at 21%, 22%, while by around the same period this year, it's about 33%. So if you do that analysis and say, for instance, an employee receives 500,000 naira monthly, and over a 12-month period, you would find out from this analysis that his adjusted salary would be 390,000 naira. So what that means is that he would have been receiving 500,000 naira on a monthly basis, but technically what he actually is receiving is 300, the value that he's getting is about 390,000 naira. So in other words, if you do for adjustments, what that salary should look like should be around 669,000 naira. And so indeed, there is a war for talent, for attracting great talent, and that war is real. This session will basically explore issues around the cost of living adjustment armory. I happen to be an Arsenal fan, and we know we talk about the Arsenal armory, but it didn't work that well as we had hoped. We hope that this cost of living adjustments analysis will provide some great insights around the benefits that it brings to employees and the organization itself. Once again, these slides are hanging. I'm sorry about this. I don't know why it's hanging. Slides are hanging. I think what I would do, I would leave it. Let me try just a minute. I'm going to leave it in this mode. Hopefully this works. Analysis, once again, apologies for this. Analysis across the globe shows that 77% of employees globally are struggling to fill job vacancies, marking the highest talent shortage in the last 17 years. This was an analysis from Manpower Group. We also saw from PwC that 88% of executives report experiencing high turnover than usual. The significant increase can be attributed to the various factions, including evolving employee expectations and competitive markets. We see also there are issues around the cost of employee turnover. Based on the analysis done by the Society of Human Resource Management, also that the cost of hiring and the loss of productivity during this transition period has caused a lot of challenges around the workspace. We also see from analysis by the Indeed and Glassdoor in 2023 that the reason why compensation is a major reason why job seekers are looking out for new jobs today as we speak. Analysis also from some experts. I would quote from John C. Taylor, where he says, in today's job market, employees have more choices than ever before. Employers need to offer competitive compensation packages, including cost of living adjustments, to remain competitive and attractive to top talent. Across your different workspaces, across the different companies, I'm sure there are statements that and gestures around conversations across organizations. For instance, you would hear people say, this new organization is recruiting a new personnel in sales and marketing. Somebody would probably, you probably have heard somebody say, HR has proposed COLA, but management is not responsive. You would hear people say that, I'm telling them for a while now that we're going to lose our talent if nothing is done around supporting employees with different programs and policies. And so interesting to be able to see from your own perspectives, the different things that you hear across your organization, what people are saying around workplace culture, around the challenges they have around being able to meet daily needs as they go along on a daily basis for work. So what is COLA? COLA basically refers to the cost wage adjustments given to employees to offset effects of inflation and economic factors. For me, like I gave that instance of the gentleman who had provided some advice years ago, my definition of COLA would be organizational pushbacks against the economy in support of employees' welfare and well-being. So COLA basically speaks to how organizations are helping support employees, knowing that the economy is volatile, knowing that a lot of factors affect employee productivity. So technically, at the end of the day, management provides all this support, knowing that when they have employees who are more settled at work, employees are able to become more productive and achieve those objectives. So the objective or main objective of COLA will be to ensure that employee salaries remain fair and sufficient to meet the basic living expenses despite changes in the cost of living that we see. And no country is more, for the last 12 months across Africa, and especially in Nigeria, we will be more prone to see challenges around inflation, challenges around different variables that have affected employees' trust in the society, trust in even being able to continue to do work as we know it. So key components of COLA. So when you're talking about COLA, there's some key components of COLA. You have to be able to define the purpose around why you're offering COLA for your organization, for your employees, basically around maintaining the purchase power, basically around ensuring that there's stability for workers. You don't want a situation whereby we survey companies across Nigeria, and we see a lot of employees who are restless in the workspace because they're not sure about where the next source of income or salary is coming in. You have employees who are not sure if management would let go of employees in the next month or even in the next week. And so that causes a lot of unsettlement around employees not being able to be sure and give their best to achieve company objectives. Also, in terms of COLA and what the companies around COLA, there's a need to have effectively understand how to calculate COLA to ensure that we effectively cover those variables that are constantly on a swing, upward swing. And so issues around the consumer price index, issues around inflation are so pertinent for what to do around COLA. Also, in terms of application of COLA, it's also important that communication is well determined for COLA. Being able to have a well-defined objective around COLA, being able to have clear advocacy around COLA so that employees understand what the objectives are, employees understand and appreciate when management is not able to provide support or go to the extent that our employees would have desired. Being able to effectively communicate what the position is, it would be relevant of great importance for companies, for employees, so that they are effectively able to manage the cost of adjustments that exist and are affecting both parties. It's also important to note that when the employees have these conversations, that even the management, even the organization that you work with are also going through these challenges. And so being able to understand what those budgetary provisions look like, what the companies is able to pay and afford is important so that both parties are able to achieve the desired objectives around COLA eventually. With regard to talent acquisition, we know that talent acquisition goes beyond recruitment. It goes beyond being able to define on a long-term basis what the career plan is for the organization. And one thing I've noticed from this analysis is that between COLA basically can be seen as a defense for what people do, for what organizations do. COLA is not seen to be proactive as a step into being able to achieve those objectives that have been set out for organizations. But in terms of being able to have well-defined talent acquisition, you have to be able to be more proactive to be able to achieve those objectives that are long-term for companies to reach out to. There's some points of intersections around COLA and talent acquisition. Around issues around compensation packages, around the market indices that people see. It's so imperative that in discussing COLA, in determining what your COLA would look like, in determining the extent at which you are able to provide support for your employees, you're able to look at those indices around what the market is able to take. You're able to compare what you are able to offer compared to what companies of a similar size are offering. You're able to have negotiations with employees. Your understanding of COLA enables you to have great understanding around what is possible. So if you're on the negotiation table with an employee or a potential employee who wants to come in, you're able to provide great insights around what is possible, what can be actualized, what you're able to make happen for the employee. What is so important is that you don't promise what you can't deliver. We've seen companies where employees, at the time of having those conversations during the recruitment process, management has promised X, Y, Z, but when the employee gets to start work, he finds out that what was promised is not what has been delivered to the employee. So it's best to under-promise and deliver better than to overpromise and not able to deliver. Because what that does is that it breaks trust for companies. Once you begin to promise what you cannot deliver on, or once you begin to promise what you cannot have conversations around. And so where, for instance, you are promised to provide X, Y, Z to an employee, it's so imperative that you are able to have conversations that are genuine and honest to say, we promise to do X, Y, Z, but we're not able to do that because of certain variables beyond our control. And so we see that there's the different kinds of intersections around employee retention. Is one thing to be able to get employees on board. It's even more challenging to be able to keep those employees on board. And so being able to have conversations around what we're able also once again to achieve or provide for employees would go a long way to achieve those objectives and keep employees happy at work. With regards to understanding COLA, there are some variables that are important that you need to look at. COLA basically talks about being able to attract talent. It talks about being able to retain talent. It talks about also being able to improve employee morale. We know that where employees feel that management cares, COLA basically talks about care for employees. COLA talks basically about going beyond and above to help employees beyond what was probably agreed from the onset. So for instance, we've agreed to provide a salary for a certain employee, but because of inflation, because of challenges across the Nigerian economy, because of different variables that might affect employees' take home, being able to have employees or employers who are able to have those conversations, able to say, we're able to go in and provide support beyond what was agreed around your salary, goes a long way to getting employees believe that management cares, management has concern for me, management knows my pains, management feels my pains. And so it also helps to improve engagements. One of the challenges around engagement is that employees feel that management doesn't care about us. But when management goes to provide COLA, provide support around those different variables, it shows to employees that management cares for them. I provided an analysis across since work has begun to see what compensation looked like. Getting an understanding of what compensation looks like enables you as a HR leader to provide the best possible COLA support for employees. So you would see, for instance, from prehistoric age where compensation was basically around subsistence, farming and all of that stuff, to where we are currently, where we are talking about tailor-made packages, we're talking about the cost of living adjustments, we're talking about the gig economy, where people are basically, where you have employees come to you and say to you, and that is an increase now, where people say, I can't work 5 days a week for you. I can only give 2 days. And so being able to have those conversations are important and see what are those variables that can help to improve employee experience so that they're able to give their best at work. With regard to future trend, we see issues around continuous learning allowances, where employees would say, have conversations around continuous learning. And so people around, also to around skill-based pay. So it's so important in this day and age that employees are constantly improving themselves, because we see in future that very soon compensations will be based on skills that people have. Compensations will be based also on work-life balance. We have a company in Nigeria where work-life balance is taking is high up there, such that they insist that people go on leave. We have some companies, generally in companies in Nigeria, you would see people negotiate, or employers negotiate with people to say, stay behind for an extra 1 week, stay behind for extra 2 weeks, or don't even go on leave this year because of those deliverables. But we see that the best practice would be for companies to insist that employees go on leave. Employees go on leave, and so there are variables, there are incentives to get employees to go on leave, better than having incentives to say them stay behind at work. Because we know that when employees come back, they come back refreshed to achieve company objectives. We see that in the future, there will be variables, there will be compensation around diversity, equity, and inclusion. So for instance, based on gender, based on race, based on different variables or different levels of belongings, we see situations whereby compensations will be based to enhance different roles, enhance different positions to achieve company objectives. We see also too already, I was seeing that there's going to be a lot improved data analytics around COLA, so that data basically drives what COLA looks like for organizations. My apologies, the slides are quite small. I'm actually straining to see those slides. And so basically, with regards to the impact of economic shifts on compensation strategies, we should know that inflation plays a key role around what COLA looks like. We know that economic growth, when there's improved economic growth within the organization, hopefully we're able to achieve that in Nigeria in the next 12 to 24 months, we will see that there is going to be an increased business activity that will demand, make a high demand for skilled workers. And so in that case, COLA could be that factor that would get you to attract those skilled workers. We also know that when interest rates change, it also plays a role with regards to what employers are able to do around COLA to achieve companies' objectives. So with regards to strategic implementations and best practices for COLA, we would advise regular monitoring, being able to look at what those economic indices look like to achieve and make a determination around COLA will be very important. Data analytics will be important going forward to be able to see how the data looks like to be able to effectively implement COLA. Most important that businesses are in for profit, businesses are in for the long haul, businesses are in for sustenance. So it's so imperative that we don't go, companies don't implement COLA and are not able to pay salaries, or implement COLA and go out of business. So being also able to communicate effectively, transparency will be key. We have organizations where from day one, from the first day of the month of the year, executive management is having sessions with employees and saying to them, this is our target for the year. These are our objectives for the year. If we achieve objective X, Y, Z, you will get ABC in return. So there's clarity around those objectives. There's clarity around the ways and means to achieve those objectives. And when employees achieve those objectives, the HR doesn't need to go. I was speaking with somebody of the HR leader recently with the MD, and he said, when we achieved those objectives in Q3, I didn't need to go to the board for approval. The HR immediately said, because we have achieved those objectives, expect your pay rise, expect the pay increment the next month or your salary comes in. It was very clear because there was transparency around those objectives. There's also been a need to have a balanced approach around COLA. There's conversation that says that COLA alone is not sufficient, or the way COLA is defined is not sufficient to meet those needs. There has to be issues around performance. And so what we see for some companies is that there is a level of COLA. There's a percentage that applies to COLA, but there's also a percentage that applies to say when employees achieve certain objectives, reach those targets, then they get extra above what the COLA basic figures look like. We see around some basic, I'm about running up right now. We see around some strategies that we see around COLA. Some basic ones we see are salary adjustments based on comprehensive market analysis and surveys, healthcare insurance premium support, transportation allowance. I worked in a company years ago where payments were done to spouses. And so what that does is that it keeps employees or spouses in support. I worked in that organization, and my wife every month receives salary, her own salary, in support of whatever she was doing with. And so what that did was that she would always encourage me to get to work to achieve those objectives for the organization. We see also too that companies where there's a company recently I heard about that they provide support around bank charges for the employees. They said, okay, now we know that these charges have become so much. So for every bank charge that that gets to you, we would pay that bank charge. We also see companies around where profit share is clear, that for what profits achieve, employees are able to achieve, get some returns around that profit share. We see stock options for good places where employees are allowed to become part of the organization through a stock option. We see companies where pension is offered, and pension is so important. Pension is adjusted. What we propose and hope is going to happen in future is that pension is adjusted based on the consumer price index. So an employee or who has worked many years in the organization doesn't receive a fixed amount to say, this is your pension. It's such that that pension is adjusted to be reflected based on the consumer price index that exists in that year. There are limitations around COLA. So COLA in itself has to be a part of an integration for us to be able to achieve those strategic objectives. I had indicated that COLA is a defense. COLA, but for organizations, you have to go beyond defense to being proactive. You have to, and so in being able to harness employee acquisitions, which is proactive, which is long-term, we need to have a combination of variables that can help to ensure that beyond COLA, we are looking at ways to improve long-term strategic growth for the organization. COLA also too is economic dependent. And so if the inflation is low, COLA adjustments may be minimal and not effectively provide that support. Remember also too that COLA basically serves as a basic benchmark support for employees. And so being able to be strategic, being able to look at ways to improve employee experience, to achieve company objectives, areas that can help employees feel a sense of belonging, can go a long way to support COLA achieve also its objectives. Like I mentioned, there's a need for an integrated approach. There's a need also for a variety of strategies, inclusive of offering career development. Employees will not stay in your company if all you offer them is COLA. Employees want to have a well-defined career path. Employees want to have a meaningful work-life balance. Employees want to have a sense of purpose. We find out across the globe that purpose is a major reason why employees feel being part of a sense of belonging within that organization. When employees feel that I belong here, there is a purpose for which I am putting my best here because it adds values to what my future looks like. Employees are able to give their best. We also see long-term plans are important. Being able to be strategic and adapt is also important to achieve those objectives. We recently did a survey with our HR community, and we had asked some questions to say, as leaders, what do you think is the most dominant motivation at work? These are senior HR leaders, and about 40% said recognition and appreciation would go a long way for them. So in other words, beyond salaries, beyond COLA, appreciation for what employees do on a daily basis. Like we're told, employees don't leave organizations, they leave managers. And so when you have employees who get a sense of a belonging, they feel a sense of being appreciated for what they do, they are able to live, they're able to work with a sense of fulfillment, even when COLA challenges are not as defined. But being able to have those conversations, being able to have that support for employees will go a long way. Critically, trust is at the center. We believe that from where I work, that great workplaces are where people trust the people they work for. They have pride in what they do, and they enjoy the people they work with. And so being able to have that as a centerpiece to drive COLA, to drive engagements, trust to drive employees, that when management says we will do this, employees believe that management will do it. When management says we can't do this because of ABC, employees believe that management is honest and truthful because of what it has done in the past. And so 3 important questions will always be important. Do employees trust management? Do employees trust themselves? Do employees trust what they do daily? With regards to the power of collaboration, I mentioned some time ago earlier on. Sometime in May of 2022, I had reached out, Seamless HR had done a post on LinkedIn, and I think a few of them had worn that t-shirt, and I just simply liked that t-shirt. I said, wow, nice to have this kind of t-shirt. I just thought, I just sent it out basically to say, nice to have that t-shirt, looks nice, right? The next day, I got an email from somebody, Grace, and said she's from Seamless HR, and said to me, I'm going to send you 1 t-shirt. I thought she was joking. A couple of days later on, she sent me that t-shirt. And guess what? I went on to LinkedIn, celebrated this t-shirt, and it got over 200 likes at that time. And so once again, in terms of being able to achieve those objectives, I want to say that COLA is important. And through collaboration between employees and employer, we can achieve and effectively harness the talent that we require and keep them happy because we have been able to imbibe trust for what we do. Thank you very much.
Wow. Oh my God. I mean, I was expecting for it to be great. I was not expecting to be like, wow, wowed, like overall. So thank you so much, Frederick, Otame. We have questions that are already in the Q&A and also have been sent directly to the panelists, and we'll get to them, I promise. But like, I just want us to finish everything that we were trying to communicate, what we want to talk about, then we just focus on Q&A and take everything together, both questions that you have for Frederick or questions that you might have for me. So I'm just going to quickly talk about embedded finance and how Seamless HR comes to play in this conversation that we're having about cost of living adjustments. And I'm sharing my screen now, and I just want to talk about embedded. So almost, I hope everybody here knows, Seamless HR. Seamless HR is a SaaS company, right? So we provide HR software from start to end, employment to onboarding to offboarding. But we also have an embedded finance segment where we provide financial products. And a lot of the reason why we do this is what Frederick has been talking about, right? Cost of living is going up, the economy is like, very volatile at this point in time. And, this inflation is hitting both employers and employees, right? So your salary, the employee's salary that was 100,000 before, all of a sudden, cost of food is going up. He's going to need something to help him tide it over. Now, COLA is a fantastic way, but like what Frederick also said is that, it's one way. There are other ways. You have to also augment it with other things, that can help those employees feel supported by the organization, right? To feel that support, this company cares about me. And that's what we do with our embedded finance Now, our embedded finance products are called Breeze, and it's for both employers and employees. What do I mean? So let's start from the employer side. Somebody asked a question in the chat section, which we're going to talk about, what if my company is not interested in Cola, or, maybe is not interested in, finding the funding for Cola. This would be a good part for you to listen to, because this is a way for you to support your employees without necessarily coughing out a lot of money. So let's talk about it very quickly. So Breeze, that's a seamless HR products, right? There are two components to Breeze. So seamless HR is embedded finance product. The first one is...
Okay. Sorry to interrupt. We're not able to see the slides.
Oh, no.
Yes. Maybe you can use the view you had before that was visible. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to try to share again.
Okay.
Is it visible now?
Yes, now it's perfect. Yeah.
Awesome. So
thank you.
This is the slide where I was talking about, why, just trying to ride off of what Frederick had been talking to us about Cola and the need for it, and how we can support employees in our organizations better. And Breeze is seamless HR's embedded finance product that is attempting to solve this challenge of, how can employers bring more support to their employees, number one, and how can they do this in a very, very sustainable manner going forward. So Breeze has two components. There's the Breeze Payer, and then there's the Breeze app. So the Breeze Payer is for the employer. Now, we all know that when you are paying your employee salary every month through whatever platform you are using to pay it right now, you incur bank charges, right? Breeze Payer is a platform that enables you to do bulk disbursements to your employees. So if you want to pay salary, you want to pay pension, you want to pay tax, all your statutory remittances, you can do them on Breeze. Whether you are a customer of Seamless HR or not, you can go to Breeze Payer and pay salaries, pay pensions, etc. And signing up to Breeze Payer is completely free. It's free of charge, right? You don't pay anything to sign up to use the software. It's a web-based software. And all your transactions, all the salaries, all the payments you make, whether it's to all your 4,000 or 5,000 employees or to one vendor, any payment you make for the first 6 months on Breeze Payer is completely free. So that's savings that you can harness immediately. All your bank charges, 52 naira, 10 naira, etc. for paying salaries, you can immediately start to win some savings from there. And then also, companies, we also have the Breeze app. Breeze app now provides financial products to the employees. So if the company is using Breeze Payer to make all their payments, to pay salaries, etc., all the employees of that company that is using Breeze Payer can now access many financial products. And I'll tell you about the financial products that they can access at very, 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 very competitive rates. But let's talk about Breeze Payer. So I already told you about Breeze Payer, where you can make bulk payments in just a few clicks, salary payments, incentives, paying your vendors, everything. You can do it on Breeze Payer in a few clicks, see all your analytics, and have a proper approval workflow so that no payment happens in the company that is not approved. Same thing for statutory payments. But something else that companies who use Breeze Payer can get is that they can get something called salary assurance. So salary assurance is, there are some companies that their cash flow doesn't come in time. So maybe the other company that my company is serving, doesn't pay on the 28th, they pay on the 5th of the next month. And what usually happens is these companies will delay salaries, which is another frustration point for employees, delayed salaries. Now, once a company is using Breeze Payer, they get salary assurance, which means the company will tell us, Seamless HR, that, hey, I want to make sure that my employees are always paid on the 28th. and then we finance that payroll. And then when your cash flow comes in, you can then repay back. So your employees are guaranteed that they will always be paid on time. And that frustration of delayed salary, today is 28th, tomorrow is 30th, next tomorrow is 5th, like that one is gone. And then those companies too can also access business loan to run their operations as well, as anything that will help that company stay financially sustainable falls under business loan, and then we'll profile them for business credit. So again, Breeze Payer, you save on transaction fees, you make payments easily, your payroll time doesn't have to be stressful, and you don't need to be, whether you're a Seamless HR company customer or not, you can use it. If you're not a Seamless HR customer, you can just upload your Excel sheet you use in calculating your payroll and make your payments simple and easy. Now, once the company is using Breeze Payer, the employees now have access to different benefits. The first one is loans, which is, I'll spend more time talking about it. And we have different loan products. We have something called end wage access. So end wage access is simply, your employees don't have to wait till the 30th of the month to get paid. Once you are paying them through our platform, if they've worked 15 days, they've earned 15 days of their salary. They've earned half of their salary. They can come onto the platform and withdraw that money. So your employees always have access to their salary, even before you are ready to process your payroll. And then there's, of course, salary advance, which I know we are all aware of as well. I mean, if your company is not giving any credit products right now, or maybe you give, but you have to select, you can only serve 10 people. You can't serve a lot of people every month. You can bring them on here. Definitely price well below market, because again, we're trying to ensure that these employees are happy and content, and that what they can get from you, they can't get it from other organizations, which will make them stay. And then we have more long-term loans that extend up to 12 months and they amount up to 5 million. So multiple loan products. But even apart from credit products, you have other products for the employees, mortgages, asset financing. So if they want to buy a car, for example, do you give car loans in your company? Can your employees get it much cheaper through our platform? Electronic appliances, food, solar. As long as those employees' salaries are being processed on Breeze Payer, they can get access to this. And of course, high interest savings. So this is really a way to provide extra benefits to your employees outside of just the salary. Like, because you work for my company ABC, you have access to all these things way cheaper than you would ever get it anywhere else. And that's my way of supporting my employees. So all of these are available on the platform. I'm going to stop now because we are so far out of time, but whether you are a Seamless HR employee or not, if you have questions, you would like to hear more about embedded finance products, both for the company and for your employees, and you want to talk about it more, please send us an email at embeddedfinance@seamlesshr.com, and one of us will reach out to you. I'm going to go straight into questions now. Frederick, I hope you are ready. We have questions waiting for us. Most of them are for you, so you're actually on the hot seat at this point in time. So the first question is, what happens when you have management who is not big on cola? Frederick, what happens in that situation? You're muted, actually. You need to unmute yourself so we can hear you.
My apologies. Critical. My opportunity of being able to have worked with a lot of or been around management for a while. One of the things that management always likes to see is data. And so if your management is not big on cola, maybe what they are trying to ask to you or say to you is, show us data, show us why we should do data. And so if we are able to show data around employees, so maybe for instance, you have a survey deployed and get employee opinions around COLA, around the salary that they receive. There is, for instance, with our survey we ask questions around employee benefits. And when a case where employee says the benefits that they receive are not great, then you are able to begin to say, why are those benefits not great? So if employee or if management is not too big around it, pointing them to that data, pointing them to the fact that the reason why your competitor has, in quotes, some of the best employees is because they have implemented A, B, C, D. Could also be another way you are able to point them to the fact that COLA is important. Also, like I mentioned, being able to show them that beyond COLA, that COLA is short-termed, is a difference, but beyond COLA, as a stopgap or as a benefit, being able to provide also to variables. Some people say to us that we don't offer COLA that is monetary based, but for instance, if you have flexible work hours to say, okay, the cost of transportation is high, and because we are not able to offer COLA in terms of transportation support, maybe employees can work from home, and you're able to effectively ensure that employees are productive at home. We have a company where we work with, a great place to work, where they provide you all the tools to work effectively at home. They provide you all the desks, your laptop, everything, your desktop, your table and chair. They also provide you the clock in and clock out methods to be able to ensure that you are working effectively. So employees being able to work at home is also another flexible way that employer management can get some employee support awesome. If they can't go on to execute COLA in the financial sense.
Awesome. And I think it's a very fantastic answer. Thank you so much, Frederick. I think it also answers another question that we had here from Ogemdi, that had asked that the economy is biting hard into businesses and employee salaries. And from a business perspective, for us to share cost-effective initiatives that will require little to no funds that businesses can key into as a way of meeting COLA. And like, what Otame just talked about now, gave some suggestions about that already. And I think what I shared about seamless HR's embedded finance could also be a way, because in both the scenarios, the company is not putting out any finance, they are not paying for anything. All they are doing is using a platform that is even saving them money, but that platform now opens up door for access for their employees too as well. So I think we've answered two. I'm going to pick one question from me, then I'll come back to you, Otamia. We have so many questions. I have two questions for me here that says, hi, okay, could you explain how companies in manufacturing industries can integrate embedded finance solutions to enhance financial security for employees? And then there is another one that says, hi, okay, are there specific financial products or services that have been particularly effective in complementing COLA adjustments, particularly for blue-collar / informal workers? So I'm going to answer both of them together because we can, like, they focus on the same sector. Manufacturing industries tend to hire a lot of blue-collar or informal workers too as well. One thing that we found is end wage access is a big deal here. The ability for employees to be open or to be able to access wages when they need it. Remember, low-income earners or blue-collar workers, these are the vulnerable parts of society. They are more exposed to shocks. They are very vulnerable to economic shocks. So just giving them access to be able to take their salary when they need it, if anything happens, they can access it, and they don't have to wait to the end of the month. That's a big deal already for them. And we've seen a lot of success in a manufacturing company that we're working with right now and providing end wage access to their staff. So that's a good way to start, and you can leverage that. Frederick, I'm going to come back to you with a question that says that how can we involve employees in the COLA decision-making process to enhance their buy-in and trust? If you could just quickly give some answer for that.
I think critically, communication is very important to have that conversation. The first thing you want to be able to do is have that conversation with employees, transparent conversation that's open, to be able to provide those benefits that come along the way. Being able to have an employee representation. It can be challenging to have all the employees in one room to effectively have that conversation. But if you're able to have employee representation to achieve those objectives, you can go a long way to do that. Also, employee feedbacks and surveys. So you can draw up a survey and get employee opinions around that, to get their opinions around that. Education and empowerment also to play a role to ensure that employees feel a sense of the importance of COLA. those are some of those ways that you can have employees buy-in for what you
Okay.
want to be able to do.
Thank you. We have one for you too as well. It says, can HR propose a middle month pay, like 20,000 naira as mid-month pay as COLA to help reduce cost of living?
I guess my response would be yes. It would be yes because COLA is flexible. There is no fast and there's no rule or defined rule around COLA. It's about being able to agree collectively. So yes, that helps, especially in a country or across globally would have people who are paid weekly on a weekly basis. I think a few companies in Nigeria also pay weekly on a weekly basis. So being able to have a COLA in terms of 20,000 naira, 30,000 naira, half monthly could be another way in which you can get employee support, because transportation is a big factor around what employees' funds go into. And so being able to provide that support will also go a long way.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. So I think the last question that we're going to take, apologies, we're over time and we want to give your time back to you. So the last question is asked to both me and you. So I'm going to ask you first, and then I'll just close up. And it's, how can COLA adjustment be leveraged as a unique selling point when attracting top talent, especially in high cost of living areas?
Yeah, so like I mentioned to my presentation, because we're in this competitive world, employees are constantly sampling, so to speak. So there's a great possibility that you are talking with somebody for a position, and that person is also speaking to another company for that same position, maybe somebody who has a great talent or a unique talent. And so in that conversation, you would see where people are, that a company B is offering something similar or something different, or saying to us, or saying to you, your salary or your basic salary, for instance, is going to be X amount. You might not even be able to match X amount, but you're saying to that person, we can do X minus 1 amount, but we can give you COLA to augment X. So that can be a great way to have that conversation, to say, like we always tell companies, always have that conversation to say, even if we don't offer the best salaries in the industry, what else do we offer as a value proposition to our employees to make them feel that we are offering the best or about the best for the organization? So COLA can be that point where you are offering somebody to say, we might not be able to meet X amount, but we can augment. We can make certain things in life easier for you. So somebody might be saying, for instance, you're going to get X amount and come to work 5 times a day, 5 times a week, or even 6 times a week. And you're saying, we can give you X minus 1, but come to work 4 times a week.
Gotcha.
There are different ways that you can get employees who are best suited for your work to achieve those objectives.
Got you. Thank you so much. I'm just going to answer one last question. I'm sorry, we can't talk about all the questions. Apologies, but we'll do our best to answer them after the session if you really want to. But there's a question from Tega that says, does COLA really make the life of the employee better, since access to more money translates to more expenses? We know how it goes. If you are earning more money, somehow your expenses go up. And the truth is, as an employer, you can provide support for them to access money, but the financial behavior rests with the employee. And I think the best way that employers can solve for this in advance, or HRs and companies, is to also provide some kind of financial literacy or some financial training. And in Breeze, at Seamless HR, we do that. So for the companies that we work for with our embedded finance products to give their employees access, we provide regular financial training to teach them how to budget, like how to leverage their finances, investment, savings, just managing that whole financial process. And you'll be surprised at how many people just need some financial literacy or some financial training to help them get their finances back on track. Not everybody really understands some things that might be simple to other people, but just having people talk to them about it, do practical session where they do workshopping and walk through it, it really helps. So if you're a company and you're on Seamless HR and you're using the Breeze products, you would be able to access this as well. And that's another added advantage you can bring to your employees, that I'm teaching you how to use your money in this, economically volatile period. That's all the questions that we're able to take. I want to thank Otame, Frederick, Elegon so much. Thank you so much for the time that you've taken to come and share your knowledge and to share your expertise with us. And I want to thank our special guests and our attendees too as well. We're very grateful for your time. You will receive the webinar recording, so check for your email and the slides as well, and you'll be able to get that. I also wanted to talk about our referral bonus. I don't know if anybody is aware of our referral scheme. If you refer a business to Seamless HR, you can earn up to $10,000. And all you have to do is refer. We do all the work. You refer, we do the work, and when we close it, you can earn up to $10,000. If you want to hear more about it, visit seamlesshr.com/refer and earn. Thank you so much for your attention. Please enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.